This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC Vegas 110. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, my most confident picks on the card. We'll talk favorite underdogs, Degen props of the night, and then finish it out with the parlays. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on to make sure you share the video too. Last week, big success. Thankfully, they're not scoring the lay and pray. Alexander Volkov, my underdog lock, gets a controversial-esque decision against Jailton Almeida. He definitely was getting taken down on a regular basis throughout that fight. The judges felt the knees to the body early in round number 3 were worth more than some takedowns and laying from Jailton Almeida. On the gambling side of it, I'll take it. On the fan of fights and violence side, I'll take it too, because Jailton Almeida doesn't know a thing about ground and pound. That's besides the point, okay? The dog lock hit, and that makes me hype. We're on a roll, and I'm ready to keep that roll going. This week, 2-leg Lock City parlay to cook up some magic. So without further ado, the lock of the week. We're going Timmy Kuamba and Alan Nascimento for the 2-leg Lock City parlay at plus 155 this week. If Timmy Kuamba would have remained an underdog, he would have just been the straight money line dog lock here. But the line has shifted towards him. He's around the minus 118 side as a favorite now. Nascimento, minus 250 as a favorite. You put them together, things are looking nice. I look at this fight between Nascimento and Durden, and it's a guy in Durden who's 1-4 across his last 5 fights. He's struggled with high-level submission grapplers before. Even early, the comeback submission win for Jimmy Flick over him was a disappointment. And then obviously a bad submission loss to Tagir Ulanbekov as well. I feel like Nascimento's grappling game is going to be a nightmare for Durden. Durden has pretty good wrestling, and I'd say he's got relatively good boxing, but he's a guy that over his past few fights has absorbed a lot of damage. Violently chinned by high-level prospect Jose Ochoa last time, beaten up terribly by Joshua Van for 3 rounds, and then had a win in the midst of it over Matt Schnell, a fight that he took on short notice, which he's also taking this fight on short notice, but it's Matt Schnell. And then fight before that, I mean, he got violently chinned by Bruno Silva after actually looking pretty good early in the fight. Silva with the comeback KO flatlined him with the shovel uppercut. Seeing a guy get hit as much as he has and already having my doubts about how he would fare against a high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner against Nascimento is why I feel like Nascimento is such a lock on this card. And he's on a nice 3-fight winning streak. His only loss is Tagir Ulanbekov 4 years ago. Granted, he's been an inconsistent fighter. He had a layoff for, 2 years and 4 months leading into his last fight. Came back and beat Juffiel Filho. Of course, the Filho fight was a weird one because he was able to reverse position, and Filho kind of lost the fight for himself by making a lot of mistakes. But I have to say, you have to credit Nascimento for then capitalizing on those mistakes from Filho. A lot of fighters wouldn't have. And we have an active Nascimento just fighting a little under 5 months ago, getting back out there, taking on Cody Durden. I love this. I love to see Nascimento active. I think this Nascimento looks better than he did against Juffiel Filho, and I think that it's an easier matchup. I would predict Filho to finish Durden, potentially submit Durden. I'm predicting that Nascimento finishes Durden, and I'm going to predict that he wins the fight by submission. So putting that together in the 2-leg parlay spoke to me. I was like, okay, who am I going to mix with it? Timmy Kuamba is somebody on this card that is actually a great money line. I'm not going to give you guys a slight favorite money line, even though it was an underdog at one point. I just wouldn't feel right doing that. So I needed to put a confident parlay piece with it. I think Timmy Kuamba is going to expose Chang Ho Lee. I have been waiting for this day. I am not the biggest Chang Ho Lee believer. I thought he looked mediocre against Long Xiao. He beat Cortavious Romeois, but Cortavious Romeois is not near UFC level. Let's keep it a buck. He isn't. I think of it like this. Kuamba is a prospect with real potential. He made his UFC debut on less than a week's notice at lightweight, gave Balaji Oki trouble, went to a split decision. Then dropped back down to 145, ended up losing to Lucas Almeida, but he had moments in the third round. And it was a Lucas Almeida who had both hands. It wasn't a one-handed Lucas Almeida that fought Michael Aswell. And then in his last fight, took on Romero, okay? A Romero that gave David Onama trouble. Roberto Romero was coming into that fight with some hype. Not only did Kuwamba win, he flying kneed him into the stoppage. Timmy Kuwamba is a problem, okay? His stand-up game is high level, and it's only getting better. And his grappling defense is not something that I'm overly concerned about. I believe he can defend takedowns fairly well and scramble to get back up to his feet if need be. And Chang Ho Lee on the other side, yeah, he's got decent grappling. Got some lint on my hat here. What's going on? But he's not the best wrestler I've ever seen. Not close to it. The one element of this fight that I am, curious to see the weigh-ins for, it's a bantamweight fight. Timmy Kuwamba is cutting down to 135. If he carries similar punch, kick, speed, and power down to this weight class against a guy like Chang Ho Lee, we're looking at a chance of another highlight reel knockout. I think Timmy Kuwamba is going to stop Chang Ho Lee. Chang Ho Lee likes to close the gap, clinch strike, dirty boxing into the takedowns. A little bit reckless. Chin comes up a bit high. Hittable down the center line. Not a lot of head movement. Not a slick striker. Timmy Kuwamba can bust him up. Kuwamba, a lot of times, pretty comfortable to circle and pick shots. But in his last fight, showed us when he puts pressure on, he's a very dangerous stand-up fighter with a sharp style and big power and big explosive movements. Like the way that he fights is something that's like must-watch TV. At 26, he's coming into his own. The prospect on the other side is 31. I got the 26-year-old. 3 years, who's still on the roster? I think it's Timmy Kuwamba. I'm predicting Kuwamba to go out there and handle business. I think he's a great money line if you want to just play it straight at minus 118 and you don't want to go for the two-leg parlay. But if you put Kuwamba and Nascimento together, you have plus 155, which is a really nice two-leg parlay. And for me, Lock City with Kuwamba, who I think should be a bigger favorite. He just isn't because of his UFC record and his debut at bantamweight, a guy that's on a nice win streak in Chang Ho Lee, 2 wins in the UFC, but not a guy that beats Kuwamba. I love this Lock City parlay. As I drop this in for good luck, we're going for these two at plus 155. Let's make some magic happen. Let's jump to the next section, all right? I want to talk my most confident picks on the card. I'll bring them up on the screen, and we can look at them. First two, we already talked about. Nascimento, Kuwamba. We're going to move down to the next one. Elikana, okay? I think that Elikana is going to beat Christian in this one. I really feel like Christian, he was lucky to get the Mazzeo fight, and he was getting taken down against Francesco Mazzeo on the Contender Series last season. His striking is okay. I mean, Kevin Christian's really tall at 6'7", has decent shots. I mean, his technique is fairly sharp. I'd say, he knows how to strike at a decent level, but it's a little bit slow-paced. It's a little bit tentative. I don't like that style. Billy Elikana is a sharp hands boxer. He's not a hyper elite punch combination boxer with like big power, but he can crack a bit. And he's got good picking of his shots, and he showed it against Ibo Aslan. He outstruck him. He was able to, find his timing and get into a flow. He also can grapple pretty well. He had Bogdan Gushkov in compromised spots in the first round before getting submitted in the second. And Bogdan Gushkov right now is one of the hottest prospects. Really, he's a contender, one of the most hyped contenders in that top 10 of the UFC light heavyweight division. And that was Elikana's short notice debut. And then goes out 30-27's Ibo Aslan. It was a terrible fight, okay? The Ibo Aslan fight was one of the worst fights. It was his shit. It was slow-paced and boring. But you have to look at Elikana's defense on that. Is like, we got Aslan, who's known as a power slugging bomber. So, of course, Billy Elikana's got to mind his P's and Q's. And he did. And he outstruck him. I think with Kevin Christian, Elikana can take him down. Elikana can probably outbox him. The worry with Christian is he does have a tricky ground game, very long legs. Obviously, the triangle armbar that he hit on Contender Series that won him the contract. At 6'7" in the light heavyweight division, I'm not surprised that he's got a good triangle armbar from bottom. But I think Elikana can stop that shit coming his way, and I think Elikana's going to outwork him. I think Elikana could show some power here. He has knockouts on his resume. I'm curious to see how the striking matches up. I think Elikana is the better boxer. I think Kevin Christian's probably the better like leg kicker, teep shotter, and like body kicker from the outside. But I don't really feel like Kevin Christian, when it starts becoming a more fast-paced, in-range fight, is going to be able to keep up with Elikana's handiwork. And I also think Elikana can outmuscle him, press him up against the cage, control him, potentially take him down. I feel like if Mazeo's taking him down, so is Elikana. I won't be shocked if Elikana embraces the grind and wins kind of a boring decision here, but look for him to find some shots on Kevin Christian, and then Christian being forced to, make some moments happen, and we find out how the recovery skills are. I think Elikana is good to go. Around minus 250 on the money line. I understand the tag, and I think he's going to be the winner of the fight. Next up, Donte Johnson. Minus 360 against Cedric Dumas. I have to put Donte Johnson as a confident pick. He won at heavyweight against Darian Abbey on Contender Series this past season. He's short, 5'8", and he was fighting at heavyweight. He weighed in at 209. He drops to middleweight to fight Cedric Dumas. He's given up some height and reach, of course. Cedric Dumas 6'2", going to be 6 inches taller. Also bringing in a nice 5-inch reach advantage to the fight. But Dumas is not the quickest guy from the outside. I mean, he's got a long jab, but I don't think he's going to be able to just jab up Donte Johnson. I don't really think Dumas brings the consequence to really keep a guy who's looking to get in your face and throw bombs away. I think Donte Johnson is going to be able to close the gap on Dumas. We've seen Dumas knocked out before. I think Johnson clobbers him with some big overhand shots. Johnson also has a wrestling base, so if need be, I could see him mixing in takedowns. I definitely think he could outmuscle Cedric Dumas in the mat. I think Johnson could smother fuck him for 3 rounds, but that's just not Johnson's style. His style is violence first, and he's looking for big knockout punches throughout the entire fight, and I expect the big knockout punches for Donte Johnson to be effective here against Cedric Dumas. I think Johnson is going to club him with some heavy shots. I think Dumas is going to be uncomfortable, and I think that he's going to melt to the pressure. I'm going Donte Johnson to win by knockout. Of course, though, minus 215 for a knockout prop on Donte Johnson. There's, no value there, really. The money line wide, minus 360, becomes, a prospect parlay piece. Do you believe in the prospect? I'm going to. I don't trust Cedric Dumas' headspace either. It's coming off the no contest where he was kicked in the balls against Zach Ruiz. He's had legal issues and trouble often. I don't know where his head is at. I don't know where his commitment to the game is at. And I definitely think Donte Johnson has a big punch power advantage and seems to be a decent prospect with some upside here. And I think Johnson's able to knock Dumas out. So we're going Johnson as the most confident picks lineup, number 4. I want to bring up 2 more. All right. It's a, shiesty Apex card, but I'll put 2 more on screen. We got Isaac Dulgarian, who I think is going to give Del Valle a bit of a veteran grappling lesson. And you might be saying, oh, but amount of fight experience, Del Valle has more. True, but UFC tenure is Dulgarian. And listen, finish over Francis Marshall, very impressive. Obviously ran through a mediocre guy in Brendan Marat. The loss to C-Rod is debatable. I thought it could have been a draw. I thought that Dulgarian could have got that decision also. I don't think that he should have a loss on his record. I think this should be a battle of undefeated fighters. Where Dulgarian fell short, though, against C-Rod, is he completely gassed out in round 3. He's been off for 1 year and 1 month. And some folks are looking at that as a real negative. I'm looking at that a little bit different. I think Isaac Dulgarian knows, okay, I'm 29 years old. I need to refine a couple of things before I really make a serious run here. And if he is to make a serious run, the gas tank needs to be better, and I think the stand-up game needs to be sharper. And I believe that the year off training with Yusuf Zalal in the room every single day is going to pay off. He's at Factory X, high-level team. I think that we're going to see Isaac Dulgarian showcase his wrestling, grappling skills here and outwork Del Valle. Del Valle is known as a grappler as well, good submission threat. His striking is okay, but it's not that impressive. It's a little bit wild and sluggy. I think Dulgarian, especially with a year off, will come out looking better on the feet than Del Valle. And then I look at Del Valle and it's like, okay, how's he looking 3-round fights? All right, he's got a bit of gas, but like he looked kind of mediocre against Pena Alamov in the final fight before getting to Contender Series. He jumped Gilly in that 3rd round and got controlled on the ground a bit. He has a bad habit of jumping ghillie. I think that with Dulgarian's takedown threat, Del Valle is probably going to resort to that bad habit. And I think if they're on the ground, Dulgarian in top position, very good with smothering and pins, is going to be locked in on top position, and he could grind Del Valle out to a decision. I think Isaac Dulgarian shows improvements in the year off, and I think he wins here. He's live for the finish of Del Valle. I definitely think Dulgarian's submission threat from top is legit, and his ground and pound's pretty good too. But if he needs to wet blanket Del Valle for 3 rounds, I'd also predict he'll have the abilities to do that. So Dulgarian around that, minus 235 line currently makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm putting him as a confident pick here. Next up, we got ladies going after it. A lot of ladies on this card. 3 of the first 4 fights. High level ladies though. Dumont Vieira over 2.5. I hate the tag, the minus 400. I hate how wide it is, but it's gonna go distance. I think Dumont can outbox Ketlen Vieira and stop the pressure onslaught. I think Vieira could have moments in close range, punches in, the clinch, dirty boxing sequences. I think battle of takedowns, they kind of both cancel each other out, but maybe Dumont the better wrestler. My official prediction is Norma Dumont to win on the judges' scorecards. I think there's a real chance she goes out and gets it done by a judge's decision. I don't want to say, hey, Dumont's the most confident pick, though, because ladies fight, Ketlen Vieira still's a problem. He's still performing at a high level. Her recent loss is Kayla Harrison. But I'll say Dumont comes out and wins a unanimous decision. She outstrikes her. I don't love it as, a minus 160-ish tag. If Dumont was an underdog or a close money favorite, it's a different conversation. But, I think probably the over 2.5 and maybe a Dumont decision piece in a parlay or something like that would make more sense. So give me the over 2.5 as a confident pick. For the most confident pick section, those are the big 6. And let's continue to the favorite underdog. So I got some dogs on this card. I'm going to say some shiesty dogs. I got Daniel Frunza, but with the caveat that he's probably getting knocked down in the first round and he's going to need to weather a storm and come back to beat the power hitter and Charles Radke. I like Frunza's straight right. I like Frunza's punch combos, and I like Frunza's recovery. He gets dropped often. He was getting busted up by Reese McKee, and I think people are looking at that fight and like, oh, shit, he should be a lock against Radke. I think Radke's power is a bit overstated. The guys he's beaten are a wash Matt Summelsberger, Gilbert Urbina, who's just not good, and a decision against Blood Diamond just smothering him up against the cage. It's not like things have gone crazy well for Radke when a decent opponent is across from him. Not saying that Frunz is elite, though. Losses to Prates and losses to Malat. What I'll say is this. Frunza is good at being the nail and the hammer. He's shown us he can deal with adversity, come back, and finish. On the opposite side of that, Radke is either destroying you or he's going to lose if there's adversity coming his way. And I think that Frunza can get a comeback knockout against him. Plus 140, maybe it's something to live bet if he loses the first round, and it'll be like plus 400, and then Radke tired and gets caught in round 2 or round 3. I still think Frunza's live to win. Next up, Jeremiah Wells. It's a close fight. I don't really think Themba Gorimbo's good. Themba Gorimbo struggled with the short and stocky AJ Fletcher in his UFC debut. He was submitted. He's taking on Jeremiah Wells, short, stocky, and powerful. Wells coming off. Long layoff, though. He's been out of the game for 20 months. I don't love that for a 39-year-old. But I will say, Jeremiah Wells has bigger punches. Jeremiah Wells has good offensive grappling. Themba Gorimbo's coming off the bad loss 10 months ago to Vicente Luque, where he was dropped and then strangled. You can't be losing to Vicente Luque last year and be on a list of confident calls for me. I just almost have to auto fade him because Luque blasts him. And I think Jeremiah Wells could hurt Gorimbo. I got questions around his chin. I think Wells probably better from top position. Gorimbo big. He's going to have that height and reach advantage, which I guess is a factor, about 4 inches in height and 3 inches in reach. But Jeremiah Wells is used to being the shorter guy at 170 pounds, and he has some big moments in fights. I like Jeremiah Wells' explosiveness. I like his top pressure, and I don't think Gorimbo finishes him nor just out wrestles him. If Gorimbo's to win, I think he's going to be pushed a little bit, and it's going to be a competitive fight. I think Jeremiah Wells gets it. I think there's a chance of a knockout for sure, potentially even a sub. Close money lines around the plus, 124 tag for Jeremiah Wells. So not an amazing underdog status tag. But Wells is a pick as a dog, and I must mention it. Now, the last one. Technically, Sunday, I did not pick this man. But Where's Waldo is often a prediction as an underdog for me. I had to go to a baby shower early in the morning of Sunday, and I had to finish up on notes after. Your boy was exhausted. And now I'm considering a pick flip, but I will tell you this. I would not bet Ante Delija as the favorite over Where's Waldo. I would bet Where's Waldo as the underdog. Seeing that he's at plus 115 as a dog, it's something that I'm going to sleep on for a couple more days, but I must tell you guys, Where's Waldo? Outside boxing, pretty sharp. Takedown defense, pretty good. Get up game is there. He's going to have a weight advantage on Ante Delija. I think it's a competitive fight. I don't think Waldo's a bad underdog play at all, regardless of the official original prediction. We'll see Friday if I decide to swing things the other way. I've done it in the past, and I've been very successful with pick flips this year. I'm going to sleep on it a couple more nights before I officially flip, but I just wanted to mention it in this video that Waldo at underdog odds is surprising. At even money odds, okay. He opened up at plus 145. Lines got closer. They went to slight even status into Waldo favorite status. And now Waldo's back to underdog status. So very 50-50 fight between the two here. I just think Waldo might be a little bit slept on. And I might be included in that sleeping on him side. And, I got the foresight to think about it. And I like to sit down and critically think my picks, especially close picks where I feel there's a toss and turn on either ways. And I ask myself, who's somebody I'd rather bet on? I definitely wouldn't want to bet on the favorite in Delija. I'd be more tempted to bet on underdog Waldo. So for the gambling side of things, in a fight that I feel could be pretty 50-50, Where's Waldo at slight plus money is not a bad tag at all. And we'll see Friday if that officially becomes my pick. But it felt right to mention it here. And if you're considering betting Waldo as an underdog, looking for plus money, not a bad idea. So those right there are my favorite underdogs on the card. And we got a damn good card. I'm excited. I got to tell you guys, easy to shit on this card because it's not like a crazy main event. But I really predict that we're going to see some sick knockouts, some violent fights, and some high-level submissions, okay? So pretty solid Apex card altogether as far as like with fights that could deliver. We're not done yet. Degen props. Let's talk. So, Degen props. Frunza second round knockout plus 850. Degen as fuck, but I'm predicting that he gets a comeback KO in the second round. Frunza straight knockout play is plus 250. Way less exciting. Waldo Delija over a round and a half minus 250. Where's Waldo? Probably not getting finished. Probably not knocking Delija out either. Over 1.5 at minus 250 seems like a free money little parlay piece if you're considering it. All right. I think Coamba's live for the knockout at plus 350 as well. And also Nascimento to win by sub. As of right now, I have yet to find that Nascimento by sub line anywhere. Maybe some of you guys have access to it that I just don't, but I have not seen it yet. I will tell you, I believe Nascimento wins by submission. As of right now, I only have over-unders. Under 2.5, minus 110, I'll say yes. I'll say Nascimento by sub. But obviously, I'm very interested in seeing what that line looks like. Most likely, it's out tomorrow. We discuss it on PropAholics. If you want the most in-depth prop betting deep dive on the web, join me tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, every single Thursday, live doing PropAholics. So we'll go in depth about all the props. I'll run polls for the community throughout. And I think we'll cook up some magic and expect to see a Nascimento by sub line there as well. I want to talk parlays. All right. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you hit that like button as well. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure you subscribe. At the top, we got Alencar and Johnson as a safe alternate. At minus 125, I wanted something where I didn't include Coamba and Nascimento or Dulgarian. I was like, let me put these two together. Minus 125, safe alternate. I normally title those safe but boring, but you know what? That's negative because it's not boring if you're winning. Down below, still a safe alternate, safe Nascimento Alencar minus 104. I think high chance this comes through. Next one up at plus 100, this is safe alternate number 2. Maybe you don't want to play the side of Johnson. Maybe you don't want to play the side of Alencar, but you're like, I like two guys that can grapple at a high level. Plus 100, Nascimento Dulgarian. Now, down below at plus 155, the Lock City Parlay. Nascimento and Coamba. I think this shit's going to hit at plus 155. That grabs my attention. Down below that, 3 confident plays. Not as good. It's plus 152. Nascimento, Elicana, and Johnson. So you got a 3-legger. You're putting in some chalky faves that you feel good about. And I think the chances of success is pretty high. Now, down below that, I already included Waldo in something. Waldo and Nascimento, 2-leg parlay for plus 200 odds. I like the 2-to-1. Down below that is Doggy Style, Kuwamba, and Frunza. But I will say, you could create the alternate Doggy Style of that. And you could go with Waldo and Kuwamba at plus 291. And I don't think that's bad either. Okay? The Waldo gambling side is intriguing regardless of the initial prediction, man. Down below that with 4 most confident picks, Nascimento, Elicana, Kuwamba, and Johnson at plus 359. I think the 4 most confident picks, pretty damn live to hit. Down below that, we got the 5. You got the over 2.5 in the Vieira Dumont added to the 4 most confident picks, which I think is live as well. Down below that, you're saying a prayer because Frunza might get flatlined. You got Lock City Parlay and you got the Frunza underdog side. Now, again, alternate to say a prayer is you could also replace Frunza with Where's Waldo and you get plus 448 if Frunza's not your speed and you got Raggy, which I get. I get it. I get it. Frunza's going to have to show something. He lost to Reese McKee, my God. But I think he would have won that fight in the 2nd or 3rd round because Reese was getting tired after busting him up and Frunza kept coming forward. I like guys that don't break. Down below, the most confident sweep, okay? Nascimento, Kuwamba, Elicana, Johnson, Dulgarian, and Vieira Dumont over 2.5 at plus 717 for the most confident clean sweep. Down below that, the Degen Savage call. Nascimento, Kuwamba, Elicana, Johnson, Dulgarian, Waldo, and Vieira Dumont over 2.5 at plus 1657. Below that, we have it with Frunza instead of Waldo. Okay, so spinning it the other way with Frunza instead of Waldo, just so you're, having both options because I think some will be indecisive between the two. Maybe some of you guys are like, man, I ain't playing no Frunza, but you're like, hey, I like the side of Waldo. Maybe you've picked Waldo in the past. Maybe you think Waldo, is a guy that delivers. He does. He tends to deliver quite often. Now, I have an alternate to that Degen Savage 2 to blend the two together that I'm going to bring up on the screen now. So make sure you drop a W sneaky in the comments, okay? Where's Waldo and Frunza with Timmy Kuwamba, Alan Nascimento, Isaac Dulgarian, Donte Johnson, and the over 2.5 rounds at minus 400 in the Ketlen Vieira Norma Dumont fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines on the slate. And if you also added in one line that I left out of it, Elicana, plus 4,116. Big plus money. Very Degen. A lot of lines. You need a lot of shit to go right for this to come to reality. But it doesn't mean it won't. It doesn't mean it won't. It definitely could. Now, I'll tell you this. Nascimento by sub is a line that I really must say I like in a parlay. But oh, wait, we don't have the line. So I'm kind of stuck in some type of fucking no man's land because I don't have the odds of that, which is frustrating. So I will try to create a little cycle parlay. So Johnson by KO ranges from minus 215 to minus 175 if you're on the lucky side. I think Dumont does win it on the judges' scorecards. Dumont to win by a decision is plus 105. I'm going to predict that the line for Nascimento by submission is around varying from plus 120, maybe a little bit wider, plus 130 around that point. I don't know exactly, right? I'm just guessing. This is really a guessing game now. I'm trying to make this up as I go to find the line. Let me see if I can find a plus 120 line. What about a plus 125? All right, it's destiny. Let's say it's plus 125. Johnson by KO, Dumont decision, and Nascimento by sub, plus 625. Obviously, that's not a real line. I just made that up on the fly because I don't know what Nascimento's sub line is going to look like, but I don't think they're going to give you much for it. So it won't be a great line for, a cycle 3-leg, but a winnable play that to me makes very logical sense and I think has real chance of coming through. I want to go more in depth with the props on PropAholics, especially now I'm still waiting on the Nascimento lines. But I feel like, my head's in the right place with some of these Degen odds. Now, if you want to play something Degen right away, you're like, yo, give me Frunza by knockout. I'm chasing the big money. I want the plus, man. I'm not playing around. Frunza by KO on your slate, okay? You're like, yo, I'm going, where's Waldo on the judges' scorecards? Give me Waldo by decision. Okay, you already have plus 1284. And then if you played Nascimento by sub, again, just for the fuck of it, I'm going to assume it's around plus 125, but obviously I don't know for sure. If it is, plus 2,932. It will vary around this point. It'll be more than, plus 1,800, I would predict. Something along those lines. But there's a little extra something. Obviously, it's not actually Davis and Figueiredo, but that's a solid little Degen cycle play to chase a little extra plus money if you're looking to really hunt down a savage line. But, we don't have all the odds out. It's annoying. I'm frustrated. I wanted to have everything in front of you. If you're wondering, why did I not go Phil Rowe, Sucky, and Co? Rowe was an underdog lock for me that hit. He's relentless, and he's not going to quit. Co only has the UFC debut against Elliott. I'm picking Co, but Rowe's a tricky fight for him. I do think this fight's live to end up going, or at least over 1.5, but potentially a little bit later. I think that Waldo, Cortes-Acosta, and Ante Delija over 1.5 rounds. And then I think also the Norma, Dumont, Ketlen, Vieira over 2.5. Minus 133, the final parlay of the day. Little alternate action if you're looking for overs. Makes a lot of sense. All right? So that is the slate for UFC Vegas 110. We got more coverage coming with the prop deep dive tomorrow, with the weigh-in show Friday. Plenty of content and live streams, so keep it locked in on the channel. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash the likes, too. You can hype the video as well. That's a new thing that YouTube has. Hype the damn video. Help your boy out and hype it up. I appreciate everybody. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Lock City Parlay and all the other calls that I've made, and drop some of your favorites. You got an underdog lock that I'm not seeing? You think Where's Waldo is the one for you? Let me know down below. You got nothing to say in the comments? W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys all for watching. Turn on the post notifications. You don't want to miss a video or live stream. Keep it locked in with me every single day of the damn week. All right? I love you guys. Share the video with a friend, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.